What is going on, everyone? And happy Ruby Tuesday. Super Bowl weekend was quite an event. 3 very long days of football, but it was fun. And that's what we are here to talk about on the Blitz Breakdown on WPRI 12 Plus app. Check us out on ProvidenceJournal.com and on YouTube as well. I am Eric Rueb with the Providence Journal, joined as always by the very well-dressed Jake Rousseau, my colleague over at the Journal. Jake, how you doing?
Good. And we're forgetting one very
important part.
Jillian on the ones and twos. Jillian, say hi.
Jillian waving her arm in there. Jillian, I saw a couple Jillian knows ball sign. She knew a little ball this weekend.
Absolutely.
A lot of people knew some ball this weekend. Some people didn't. We got some games right. We got some games wrong, but it was a fun weekend from start to finish. We're going to be talking about the state championship Super Bowl to get the show started. Our second segment, we'll hit that D1 game and D2 and then break it down into D3 and D4 to wrap the show. And we're going to start with the big one because it was the big one. LaSalle and Hendrick, and a lot of the state didn't really want to see this game happen. It happened. Both teams battled their way to get there. Hendrick with the 13-3 win. You can call it a defensive battle. I guess that's what we're going to say. And what did you see from this game that impressed you?
The crowd. The crowd was outstanding. I mean, the walkways at Cranston Stadium were overflowing. Granted, we need to do a little bit better job of clearing that out, but the crowd was spectacular.
Yeah, it was a mob scene of people. I got to the field. Game was 7 o'clock kickoff. I got there at 5, and there were already people in the parking lot. It was a big deal. It was big. It was loud, and it created quite an environment. The atmosphere was electric, and then the football started.
Yeah, then I was going to say I said the crowd, but the gameplay. We've seen better championship games between Hendrick and LaSalle.
Yes, and it was, you're going to take a win however you get it. And that, it is what it is. But it was, for me watching it, the thing that stood out for me the most was how Hendrick can scheme the game. Defensively, I thought they had a great game plan. Their edge play, getting Elijah Gurton back, having him come off the edge. Ryan Santo, the sophomore kid, having himself a year. Him coming off the edge, Zion Hightower up the middle. They did a great job on that front. They got to Sam Perry. They forced some throws. The way they bracketed their defense with kind of double teaming Antonio Bearden the rest of the way and Jabari Jackson taking a receiver, it was nerd football. Yeah. It was fun to watch. It was just sit there and you're like, oh, I like what they're doing. And you kind of saw the effectiveness of it. Kids didn't try to make too many plays. They tried to make the plays in the moment. And I think that's huge, that mentality of let's just make this one play.
Right. Hendrick did an incredible job stopping the run. It got to a point where Sam it looked like he was forcing the ball to Antonio, and it worked there for a stretch in the fourth quarter, the second half. But really, really, like you said, great scheme by Hendrick.
Yeah, and the start of the game, too, and rewatching the film on it and just kind of watching LaSalle had opportunities in the first half, and I think those were the chances for them to get it, where Sam had a couple throws that were there, and some of receivers dropping the balls. Sam missed a couple throws that were there, and it's in the moments you're like, all right, they're going to get another chance, but as the game went on, those chances became less and less as that defense kept tightening down. I think it shows the importance. Everyone kind of looks at the end of game stuff, and that's the most important, but a lot of that stuff happens in the beginning of the game.
Right, and you said you had talked to Sam after the game, and he was just experienced beyond his years. Just, share that if you may.
Yeah, it's after championship games, it can be really hard to talk to these kids. There are a lot of emotions in, and Sam just looked at it and said, I need to be better. I need to be better for my teammates. There were things we could have executed, but I need to be better. And that says a lot about this kid and his potential as a quarterback and how he sees the game. And another kid who did it the right way after the game, Jeremy Seedy. I talked to him after the game, and he didn't want to talk about a single thing he did, which was a shame because he put on an absolute show. If there are any questions about who the best player in the state was, they were certainly answered on Friday night.
Yeah, Jeremy was all class, 100%. And what a way to cap a career. 23 carries. Feels like he could have had 35 in that game. And
to be honest, I don't know that Hendrick gave him the ball enough. And kind of looking over the thing, first, the biggest play of the game for me, going over it, that second quarter touchdown drive. It was 3rd and long situation. Isaiah Brito throwing him the ball out of the backfield. Yeah. The throw looked like he was headed out of bounds. It wasn't going to be caught. Ball gets tipped by a defender. I don't know how he caught that ball.
Athleticism.
Just the concentration, the focus to reach behind himself, get himself turned around. Ball gets it in. All of a sudden, it goes from a 3rd and long. We're going to be punting to now we're on 1st down. Now we're moving. And it wasn't a shock to see him just get the ball the rest of the way home.
Yeah, field awareness, I think, is the term there. I think it went for 25 yards, and he caps off the drive. He looked like he was in on the first carry on the goal line or whatever, and then just finishes off in the second. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I
think once they got inside the 10, there was no need to give the ball to anyone else. And yes, they have some talented players. We know Jeremy Dennis can play. Santo did a couple nice things out of the backfield. Ron Sanpon had a couple carries, but you get inside the 10, you give it to a kid like that who's going to run and run hard, which made it strange because in the end of the game they're trying to kill out clock. Jeremy Dennis rips off like a 60-yarder to get to the 6, and we're like, in my brain, I'm like, all right, CeeDee's going to, and then CeeDee never got on the field, and watching it, and we watch as reporters, but as fans too, like fans of the sport and everything. And I'm just like, why is he not in this game? Like, There's no, like, at that point, stop thinking. Like, yeah, Jeremy, just finish this off for us.
I mean, at that point, he may also needed a Gatorade break or something. Like, he had a hell of a performance.
I think for LaSalle, we saw, and injuries are hard, and it stinks when good players aren't out there. I think we saw how important Jalen Mosley was to this LaSalle team because they needed that third receiver. They needed that third option in that pass game to do something. And did you get a sense that they just needed that one spark?
Right. Like I was saying earlier, they were kind of forcing it to Antonio, and rightfully so. He was making plays all over the field, but you could tell they were missing balance a little at certain points.
What did you think of Elijah Gurton?
Just him suiting up was impressive, and then to go out there and he's got these long arms. He's creating chaos. I mean, what a boost that was for Hendricken. Just watching
I watched a lot of it from the end zone because I was taking photos from down there, but just seeing how he got into passing lanes and disrupted the slide where it's almost you're a volleyball guy over at the Journal. He gets up like a blocker, hands up, and there's no space to throw the ball. He was effective at getting to the quarterback, but just as effective just like knocking down passes.
That's a brilliant idea. Hendricken, get him on the volleyball court in the spring.
That would be dangerous. I think he's a high hurdler, though.
He can do both.
He can do both. He would be.
Yeah.
Well, he should sign up for that. It would actually be fun to watch. Yeah, and I don't know what this means for next year. I'm very curious to see what this means. Hendricken's losing a lot. They've got some guys coming back. I think Hightower, who's like their nose tackle now, may end up trying to be their running back next year. I think that's their plan, but
Santo should get some carries too.
I think we're going to see a big year from Ryan Santo. Yeah. I think he is clearly someone who's going to be a star in the state the next 2 years. But this Hendricken team, this win, this was the most improbable of championships. What does this do for this program and kind of the direction it's been?
They should keep the ball rolling. Santo, like I said, should get some carries. Gurton's coming back, correct?
Yep.
But flip side, LaSalle, year 2 under a new coach there.
I think it's good for LaSalle. I mean, it's obviously they don't think it's good that they lost, but I think it's good this run. I think Copen, the culture now is they're established, and this team is running in a very good direction. I like what I saw from them this year. They dealt with some challenges. They're going to play a tough schedule year after year.
Right.
This program's building in a way that I don't know that it has previously, and with the way football's kind of going, it's going to be good to see. And it was an impressive showing all season long for both these teams. It was a lot of fun to watch the game. Yeah, I've seen more exciting games in my life, but it was championship football's championship football. And we're going to talk a little more championship football coming back for our second segment. We'll get into the D1 and D2 games. We'll come back to you in 2 minutes. Welcome back. It is the Blitz Breakdown here on a Ruby Tuesday. I'm Eric Rueb with the Providence Journal. You can watch our show on WPRI 12 Plus app, on the Providence Journal website, and on YouTube. Joined by Jake Rousseau, my colleague, my partner, guy with way better hair than me, Jillian, super producer Jillian on the ones and twos. As always, we talk state championship. Now we're going to get into some of the other games in Division I. The Division I Super Bowl, call whatever you want. I've been calling a consolation game. But it was Central with a 27-0 win over Cumberland.
Shutout performance for the Knights.
Yeah, and the thing that kind of stood out to me in this game the most, and the kids said it, I heard it on the sidelines, this is for the trenches. Me, middle-aged white guy, I've heard the word, I understand what it means, but having the kids explain it to me and what it really is the thing that stood out the most. They talked about opportunities. There's not a lot of them for where they are. Right. They're trying to show out for the community. They want to do things to help boost everyone that they're around, and their excitement for this game was genuine, and that was the biggest thing I took from me. Mike Washington, these 27 kids they had there were there to play football. They were there to play for something, and you could see it in their faces. And it was one of those moments in covering high school sports where, like, yeah, a lot of people are going to say things about the Central team and about their entrances and their boombox music and all that other crap.
Right.
But this mattered to them, and I think that was my favorite part of the whole thing was how important this was. And other people can poo-poo the game, and I was one of them. But it was really cool to see that.
Right.
And
As long as this game's being played, that's a good thing, because even if it wasn't being played, I'm sure Mike Washington would have tried to find another game between, the end of the playoffs or the end of the regular season and Thanksgiving. So put them on that stage, give them an opportunity.
Yeah, great game from Central. Ramel Richards, 2 touchdowns, defense dominant. We're not going to dive too deep into it because we got a lot to talk about in Division II.
Right.
Because Division II was a movie, just an absolute roller coaster ride. And there's so many different places we can get to. I'm just going to, the first half, SK came out and did what you're supposed to do. They showed this balance. Braden Rosen heroically coming back from injury, gets on the field. All of a sudden, now they have this balance. Dante Pino's going nuts. This game is looking good. Landon Husero busts out a 60-yard run. I don't know if he got caught by a track star. We knew that was going to come, and SK had all the momentum in the world. Husero gets hurt at the end of the second quarter, doesn't come out, and then the second half just happened.
Yeah, Eric, I said this last week, and I've been beating this drum. This was the game that I was most excited for. You see Landon not come out for the second half, and you're like, oh, this is a completely different ballgame. It's at that point, it's 13-12 SK. And then 3 plays into the game, Caleb Williams at quarterback, he rolls out right, and he directs Dan Cummings down the field, dart.
That was the best part, and I didn't see it live, but I saw it on film, watching him. Cummings ran a little in route, was open for a first down, and Williams, who played quarterback, his brother was a quarterback at Westlake, immediately signaled, and that's when you kind of knew, like, okay, this is going to be fun. But then SK, immediately with the response, 71-yard touchdown run by Jack Sullivan, who had himself a nice little afternoon. And at that point, I'm like, okay, this is going to be curious. This is going to be a ball game. And then Landon Husero came back.
Yeah, it played like what's the Star Wars, the sound where...
I don't watch that nerd stuff.
He comes in and it's like, oh, we have a different game again.
Yeah.
Like a new chapter in the film, a new page in the book. And Landon comes in, and his first drive wasn't really his first drive because they get stopped for a safety. Then he scores on that next drive, and Westerly's that put him back ahead. Going back to last week real quick, I was so excited for this game that when we first filmed this segment, the D2 segment, I stuttered and bumbled so much that I made us refilm it.
What?
Yeah, that happened.
That never happened.
Jillian still might be mad about it, but this game just lived up to the billing. And we talked about could Westerly win a close game, and we said there's going to be an adjustment, and the adjustment period was tackling Dante Pino's not easy. Westerly figured it out. Get to him before he can get going. And they really, really halted the run game in the second half.
And as things are going live, I'm taking photos and I'm trying to take notes and pay attention, so you kind of lose track of what's going on in the game. So I rewatch it. I redo the notes just to look. Westerly's defense in the second half, after they gave up the 71-yard touchdown run, they held South Kingstown. South Kingstown went 3 and out, 5 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and the game was over.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of defensive presence, they made the play. A lot of good plays on first down to get into second and longs. And it really took over the game. And then all of a sudden, and I mean, we're going to overstate the return of Husero, but it was very Hollywood-esque. And the throw he made to the back corner, and I got plenty of haters no, it wasn't that good of a throw. The fade to Williams in the corner in that moment, under heavy pressure.
Right.
There's not a lot of players who can make that throw.
No, I asked Caleb about that throw. He had defense at inside leverage, and he was like, basically, that's my favorite route to the corner. And he beats the inside coverage, and Landon drops it in the bucket. I kind of had a feeling then, it was still a 9-point game at that point, that the game was over. Seeing that live was spectacular.
Yeah, and at that point, I think with it being a 2-score game, with the way Wesley's defense played, we had a sense. And the score doesn't indicate what happened in this game, because SK kind of went into desperation mode. Now they had to become a throw-first team, which isn't their identity. And the game got away a little bit at the end with the defensive plays. I mean, Dan Cummings, what can we say? It's the kid's mom's birthday. He had to give mom something big. 4 touchdowns in the game. The pick 6 to kind of seal it. I mean, this kid, the growth of this player, we've talked about it all year. This growth of this kid's been tremendous.
Yeah, no sophomore slump for Cummings. It's sophomore jump. But you mentioned the final score. South Kingstown, you guys played incredible. You deserve to be on that field. That was an amazing game, and it's only an amazing game because you guys helped make that happen.
Yeah, and lost it, you bring up South Kingstown. One of my favorite moments of the game, and it's not something you put in a story you write about. I got a photo of it, which I like to see, was one of the drives, I can't even remember the play, but Jake Karen and Dante Pano, arm over arm with each other. And I don't know what they were saying, but I'm sure it would look very congratulatory. I mean, Pano, what an unbelievable career for this kid. Getting a Super Bowl last year, almost getting one this year. And he accepted the moment for what it was. Like, they left it all out there. You're going to be a defending champ. It's hard. But if you're going to leave your title defense like that, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And it was impressive. And Westerly, this town, they've been waiting 20 plus years for this. It means a little bit more down in Westerly right now.
Absolutely, it does. It doesn't feel like it had been that long because they've been on the cusp for so long. Quarterfinals 2 years ago, semifinals. To get over the hump, Friday nights mean a lot more in Westerly than they do in other towns, and Sunday meant that much more. Yeah,
and they got a big Thanksgiving game against Stonington, and that's the game. And they always say, "Oh, this is the biggest game of the year. It doesn't matter what happens." I think it mattered a little bit. I think this Super Bowl meant a little bit more, and I know it's going to be fun, and they're going to be hyped up for Thanksgiving. But it was really cool to see a town. I mean, the crowds for that game was incredible. Like, usually the D2 game doesn't pack it like that, but it was nuts there.
No, and don't tell me South County it's too far to drive to Cranston because both those schools showed out.
Yeah, and there's some schools did not show up very well this weekend, but it is what it is. But yeah, that was that game. Not a lot of times they live up to the hype, but it was certainly an exciting game to watch. And we got two more exciting games to talk about. Division 3, Division 4 Super Bowl talk coming up in our next segment. We'll see you in 2. Final segment here on the Blitz Breakdown. You can check us out on the WPRI 12 Plus app, the Providence Journal website, and on YouTube. My name is Eric Rueb. I'm with the Providence Journal, joined by my colleague, Jake Rousseau, the best-looking man in sports media. And we are joined, of course, as always, by Jillian on the ones and twos. She's the super producer. She made her picks. She got most of them right because that's what she is. Jillian, as we all know. Jillian knows ball. D4. We wanted one thing, Jake. We wanted absolute and pure chaos. And last year, we said Narragansett was going to win the Super Bowl, and boy, were we wrong.
We can't get this game right.
This year, Davy's going to win this game big. Boy. Oh, boy, was I wrong on that one. The Mariners with the 21-8 win. Just an impressive kind of revenge win for this program.
Yeah, Narragansett let us hear it, and rightfully so. I love when they do that. But they got up early. And that really, really helped their defense just pin their ears back and get after Davies and got Davies out of the game plan that it seemed that it wanted to run.
Yeah, and Owen Oakes, a big return for him. He made a couple plays coming off that edge, and that you could see that pass rush immediately from the start. And they were trying to win the battles up front. They kind of took Davies out of the run game. Davies ran a couple of those direct snaps to Jomar Lopes, very talented athlete, but the handoff plays weren't working, the pass plays weren't working, and that defense was creating havoc. And it was I like offense. Everyone knows that. But the defense was just, from start to finish, it showed. I think, looking at it, I think Henry Cabral and that team got a little nervous when they got down and did some things they weren't comfortable with, and it just played right into the Mariners' hands. I was still shocked, though, on the rewatch. The game felt like it was a blowout the whole way, but it was close.
Yeah. Before I answer that, I'm glad that you brought up Owen Oakes because, again, another player that we didn't expect to see comes out and plays, and there was few players like that throughout each of the games, and we never get injury reports, but to see him dressed, to see Rosen dressed, it was really cool.
Yeah, the Narragansett offense, Alec Hayes, and again, they run these wild formations, and it's funny listening to the play-by-play on the NFHS broadcast because they're like, what are they doing? And it's like, when you see it once, you're like, okay, what are they going to do? But it was simple, and it was what they were efficient. And what I was impressed with most was they had a chance to score on the first drive of the game, failed from a 1. But they didn't let that affect their play. And I feel like that was a moment where they could have let that get them down, but the confidence was through the roof.
No, they took the ball, went down the field, ended up not scoring, but scoring shortly after that. They were there for business.
The thing that impressed me most about this program, too, is that they're so small. It's the smallest public school in the state. I think them and Scituate are neck and neck for fewest amount of boys and for a one-school program. This is their 4th title in 6 years. Matt Blessing took over the program 2017. He was kind of the guy who created that flag program down there.
Right.
And they've got something going.
No, and I wrote this, and I know, like you said, they're very small, but I wrote this in the championship story. Davies and Narragansett, I know you're new, for Davies and Narragansett, you're small, but both teams have earned promotion, and take that as a compliment.
Yeah, it's I'm curious to see what's going to happen now with the realignment. Narragansett, the one thing they always have going against them, they're a small school. It's tough when they have to make the jump, but they've won in D3 before. For Davies, I think this was their graduation. Henry Cabral, doesn't want this program to just be in D4. He's trying to build something, and they've got a decent amount of size. They've got some good kids. That culture's there. That program's going strong. 3 straight Super Bowls for Davies, which is insane because it was just like 7 years ago they were starting to play football, and now they're playing football. And now they have a culture, and it was they were sad. They were disappointed. I talked to Henry the next day. He said, "Yeah, our guys were in the weight room already in the morning."
Good.
And that's kind of what you're supposed to do in these situations. Narragansett, by the way, Matt Blessing, the greatest pregame speech I've ever heard, reminded his players that the 4 Providence Journal reporters picked against them. He printed out a sheet of our picks and put it on the bus. Hadrian Duncan had it in his back plate the entire game. So sometimes I forget that, yes, these things do inspire people to play, but it made me laugh. Duncan showed me, he said, "Yeah, this was trash when I read it, and it's trash now." And
that's hysterical.
But
hysterical.
What wasn't trash was maybe the perfect finale to Super Bowl weekend. Classical beats Mount Hope 40-28. A very New England Patriots, Atlanta Falcons-esque comeback, 28-6 down in the second quarter. Played their worst football I've seen them play, and then all of a sudden, slow but steady comeback. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, it said arguably the D2 game was the best game of the weekend. D3 also arguably the best game of the weekend. Eric, how did Classical pull itself out of this hole?
I think Chris McCall's approach was really good, where they knew that you're not going to get it all down at once, and that's the thing. You're down 22 points. It can't just be one play. And talking to McCall, one of the things, sometimes you need a little luck. And they got one of those plays in the second quarter, late in the second quarter driving. Tamid Mashoud with the catch, looked like he's going to the end zone, gets hit, ball fumbles. Like 10 dudes jump on the ball. All of a sudden, it squirts out. Arjun Singh, man on the spot, picks it up into the end zone. Now they get a touchdown. Get the conversion, they get the ball to start the half. And they score. And now all of a sudden, this 22-point deficit is now down to a single score. And it changed the whole complexity of the game. Classical's defense picked up from there, and you get a kid coming off the bench, Curtis Briggs, scoring a touchdown to start in the third quarter, and then got another one in the fourth that made it a 1-point game. It's really impressive to see.
Classical has offensive guys all over the field. Curtis, I apologize. I'm unfamiliar with their game. Eric, who is Curtis Briggs?
Curtis Briggs, senior running back, got hurt as a sophomore, had in the recovery, trying to get back out on the field. Got stuck behind Jordan Duke. It happens. He was an all-stater for a reason. Didn't see a lot of time last year. And Chris McCall tells me this year he was really big on their scout team, doing everything. And he was working at just getting on the field, waiting for his opportunity, waiting. His teammates like, "Don't worry, you're going to get a chance." And for a kid in the biggest game of the year, hasn't really played a ton or seen any big moments, the biggest moment of the year, he was ready to go. And he got out on the field and made the plays they needed to. He punched one in from the 3. That was a huge touchdown. And it's high school sports. That's when it's fun. When you get a kid like that who all of a sudden makes the biggest play of the game.
I mean, that's how you pull yourself out of a hole, right?
Yeah.
It's a team effort. Mount Hope, incredible season. Didn't end the way they want to. Where did the Huskies go wrong here?
I don't know if there was a lot of wrong in their game. They started fast. It was electric. Nick Rogers looked like Steve Rogers. That's Captain America of Dorks. I know who that is. And he was incredible the whole game. And when they're up 28-27, it looked like, okay, they're going to get a score here. They're going to be fine. And there was a 3rd and 7 play where they passed the ball, and I think they were going for the home run. And I look at that play. You got Will Francis. In my brain, I'm like, let him run for 4. Let him run for 4. Keep the drive going. Didn't happen. They made the play they did. Classical's defense came up on the 4th down. And then Bam Adebayo showed why football players should run track. And that was my favorite quote he said to me was, "I ran track. I knew no one was catching it." And for him to get the big touchdown, the defense gets another stop, and then he puts it away. Just an unbelievable finish. We're like, did that just really happen? It was it was a long weekend. I was tired, but man, that had me juiced up immediately.
We kind of had a feeling that Sunday was going to be the best day of the championship weekend. Game wasn't over there after Bam's touchdown, though.
No, they tried to make some stuff happen. And Will Francis' injury late kind of derailed that. But it was it's Mount Hope fought. And what I'm excited to see though for Mount Hope, Thursday now, Thanksgiving's going to matter a little bit more. And we got Thanksgiving football coming up. And for some programs, it's going to mean more than others. Mount Hope, I think they're going to be hungry to give Barrington a run. That's going to be a good game. We got games going on all week. It's going to be fun. But Super Bowl weekend, certainly one to remember. Jake, you had fun?
I had a blast.
Jillian got almost all our games right. She had some signs. It was a good week. We've had fun doing this. We're going to be back next week, guys. One more show to do. We're going to give out some superlatives, some awards. We're going to have some fun next week. It's going to be a lighter show, but it's always light here on the Blitz Breakdown. For super producer Jillian, for the super talented Jake Rousseau, I'm Eric Rueb. Thanks for watching the Blitz Breakdown.